Weapons disarms. Let's first talk about weapons. You know, when we talk about weapons, it's kind of like saying sports these days in the realm of self-defense. It's such a wide kind of a topic. You know, weapons can really be broken down into three different kinds of categories. The first category that we have is edged weapons. This is anything that's sharp. You know, the second kind of category we have is impact weapons. This is anything that's dull. And then last but not least, we have projectile weapons. Most people think about projectile weapons, I think about guns, which is correct. But you can also think about projectile weapons as far as something you can even throw as well. So what I want to do in this video right here is talk about weapons disarms. We're going to focus just on those first two categories, what to do up against edged weapons and also impact weapons as well. So when we go ahead and we talk about that, there is so many, things we can do as far as disarms or a way we can disarm. I want to try to simplify things as much as possible. So when I do that, I break things down to this little saying. It's called DDP it. Let me write this down for you. When we talk about weapons disarms, it's called DDP and then IT. Obviously, each one of these letters right here stands for a specific kind of a technique we want to do or a concept that I want to get across to you guys. When we have somebody attack us, the first kind of step is it gives us three different options. So if I have Mark come out here, let's say a knife, if he focuses and let's say he has a knife right here, we want to go ahead and we want to realize that we have three different options. The first D that we have stands for distancing. And what we mean by distancing is that it's acknowledging that if I'm in the wrong distance, this is going to be bad news for me. So I need to make sure that I'm at the right distance, even if he swings. So if he takes a step back, let's say, and he swings, I need to make sure that I am in a range right here where I'm not going to get cut. It seems like a very common sense thing, but by not working this into our training and realizing how far is too far and how close is too close, I think we're at a loss. So we want to make sure that we both have that down. So within our training, have somebody take a training weapon right here and go ahead and just take a couple swings at us. So we get used to going ahead and moving back, etc., etc. This is what we call our distancing right here. The next option that we have right here is a distraction. Now, when we talk about a distraction, we're talking about having somebody with a weapon in front of us. And if I have something, let's say, in my pocket, it could be some change, it could be, whatever it is. We want to go ahead and use that as a distraction, or maybe I go ahead and throw this at someone's face. They get distracted, then I can use that to accomplish my next step. So as we go through this right here, the first D is for distancing. Pay attention to your distancing. When they swing, okay, we want to make sure we're not there. Then we use the right time that we can come on in. Distraction, using anything that we can, maybe a fistful of gravel, throw it in the person's face, whatever it takes to cause a distraction. Last but not least, we have pain, just a shot of pain. So let's say Mark has a stick right here. We can go ahead and inflict a shot of pain. So instead of a knife, maybe we have a stick. If he's coming right here, I want to inflict a shot of pain. Now, obviously I have to pay attention to my distancing. But my point is that if he swings right here, now I can go ahead, maybe give it an eye jab right there, maybe throw in a punch. If he comes on in as just threatening with a weapon right here, I can go for a shot to the shin. Whatever it takes to cause a shot of pain. Now, why are we doing any of this? Why are we inflicting pain or causing a distraction or even using our distancing? It's for the goal of coming on in here and accomplishing our second goal, which is our I. And we talk about our I, we talk about isolation. Isolation means we need to isolate this weapon's arm right here. Okay? If I go ahead and I grab a person to start throwing in some great tools right here to take this person out of commission, it may not be the best thing because he still has that weapon that he can go ahead and start swinging. I understand with a longer impact weapon, it may not be as dangerous, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to have Mark grab a knife here real quick, and I think you guys are going to see it. Can you hold that weapon in your left hand just so you can go ahead? If I get in here and I don't pay attention to this weapon's arm, what's going to happen? It's going to stab me and slash me. This is not good for me. So what I need to do is make sure that I use these three options. And once again, these are just options. We can just use one. We don't have to use all three. But I'm using distancing, distraction, or pain to get on in and isolating this weapon. How do we use that? Well, let's take a look at this again. Go back right-handed just for the camera angle. If we go ahead and let's say have Mark swing, once again, it's staying at a range where I'm safe, but then using distancing to coming on in and isolating that weapon right here. We have what's called the 50% mark. Notice that when Mark swings, he's gonna reach about this 50% mark. Once this crosses, now it's a much safer time for me to come on in and isolate the weapon's arm right there. If we use our distraction, you know, he's holding that weapon out there. Maybe I use something I have in my pocket to cause right here. Then I can go on in and isolate, but I'm using a distraction in order to do that. Last but not least, as we stated before, we can use pain. So if he's just threatening with the weapon, or even if he swings or something like that, I can use a shot maybe to the groin and then enter on in. All of these are points to accomplish this one goal right here, which we call isolation. Let's talk about that real quick. We talk about isolating the weapon's hand right here. This is the ideal situation. I'd love to go ahead and wrap this arm right here, either by keeping one hand down low, one hand high, one hand on top, one hand under. This is ideal right here. Now I say ideal because when we're talking about a real kind of a situation, this could happen and this looks a little bit more different, right? Okay? But when you're talking about someone who's trying to kill you, trying to do major harm to you, you may end up this way. This is still isolating, okay? Notice though that if I go ahead and I do this, is this isolating? Yes. Make do with what you have. That's why when we train, try to go for that goal of having one hand on top, okay, all right, one hand under, one hand low, one hand high. This gives us the ultimate kind of isolation move right here, where now I'm able to isolate this weapon's arm, okay? The third goal that we have right here is, after we isolate, is going ahead and terminating. So we want to terminate. Now, what does terminate mean? Well, when we talk about termination, we talk about taking this person out of commission. What do I mean by that? What kind of definition do I mean by taking somebody out of commission? We simply put them into a position where they cannot fight back so we can go ahead and escape. So if Mark is in here once again, and I go ahead and let's say I isolated, we want to use what's called our heavy artillery, our elbows, knees, headbutts. Those are the things that are going to take bigger, stronger people out of commission. If I'm in this range right here, and let's say I'm using my knee strike and my headbutt, that's great. I don't mind using elbows, but the one tip that I want to give you guys is, you work so hard to get to this position right here. What I don't want you guys to do is go ahead and let go immediately and use an elbow, because this frees up the person right here to fight back. I like to soften the person up by using some knees and headbutts, maybe a couple of those. Then I can go ahead and use my high line tools to take care of business as well. So let's review this real quick once again, going through the DDP kind of strategy. First option we have is either use your distancing, pay attention to that 50% mark. Distraction, grab a handful of gravel, some change in your pocket, throw it at their face, cause a distraction. Pain. Give them one quick shot of pain. Use something as a vulnerable target, like let's say the shin, the groin, the throat, the eyes. Our second goal is to isolate. We want to wrap, once again, one high, one low, one on top, one under if at all possible. Third point right here is to terminate the fight using close quarter tools. Our elbows, our knees, our headbutts, devastating tools. So I don't care what we're dealing with here. I don't care if it is a knife situation. I don't care if it is a stick situation. We just want to make sure that we can go through all of these steps right here and somehow, some way, isolate that move right there and then go ahead and terminate it. I'm going to go ahead, I'll throw in one more kind of isolation move if I have Mark in right here. If we go ahead and let's say come in here to isolate, I don't like doing this because as I isolate right here, this person can stab me in the back. So what I'd like to do is I like to reach around right here and do what's called a shoulder lock. Once I get into the shoulder lock, then as you can see, it really makes their face vulnerable where I can go ahead and strike them however I want to. So I can do knee strikes, I can do elbow strikes, whatever it needs to, as we say, take this person out of commission. So distance, distraction, pain, isolate, and terminate. DDP it.